Okay, going to take the flywheel off. To take the flywheel off the engine, I have my impact driver. I've got 2 head bolts from the head. I find that works really well. I've got my 4.5 inch puller, and I have a 9/16 inch wrench. So what I'm going to do is, first thing, take the flywheel bolt off. So there's that part. That's done. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of the head bolts in the flywheel. And if you have a driver set, then use that. These are head bolts that I'll never use again, just because I don't need them. So I pressed them into service for doing this. It's not going to work right. So here, let me put the camera down for just a second. Hopefully you can see a little bit of what I'm doing. I think you can. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and attach the puller using the head bolts to the flywheel. Flywheels are much easier to get off than crank gears. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wrench here, I'm going to tighten it down. It's already pretty tight. Now this is where you can do a couple things. What you don't want to do is you don't want to break the fins off of the flywheel when you're pulling it out. So typically what I've done in the past is I'll get some type of wood dowel and put in there, because under the impression that the dowel would probably break before anything else would. But in this particular case, I think I can hold on to the flywheel and turn it, because you don't want to put anything on the fins. So I'm just going to set this down again. See what I can come up with. Nope, I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trade out my wrench for a ratchet. So I'm going to go get my 1/2 inch, let's see here, I want 9/16, and I'm going to get my long ratchet. Now we can go to town now. So put this back here. Now let's see what I can do. Just like that. Hopefully that got on camera. Taking the flywheel off is actually pretty easy. I mean, you can see now that the hardest part now is you've got the stator to deal with, and so you got the magnets on the back of the flywheel, basically holding the flywheel on. But it's very important when you put the flywheel back on, it's torqued to 55 foot-pounds. Torquing it to 55 foot-pounds can be a little bit of a pain, I know, but it's very important. If not, you could potentially shear a flywheel key. And when the flywheel keys are sheared, you end up, basically the engine won't crank because it can't time itself, specifically on the P series with the electronic ignition. So now I can take the flywheel off. And I'm going to have to set the camera down to do this again, sorry. Okay, we got the flywheel off. That exposes our stator and our ignition system. And there's our key. And what happens is if the flywheel is not tight enough, this key will shear off. And if you want to look back at some of my first posts on MTF, is actually where I was dealing with my 318 and a sheared flywheel key. It wouldn't crank one day. So flywheel's in pretty good shape. I'm not real happy about the ring gear. This is certainly not something I will probably ever sell. Just because, I mean, the way this ring gear looks, it's pretty terrible, to be perfectly honest, now that I'm looking at it. So, you know, I'll try to decide what to do with this at a later date. But for right now, I'm just going to set it aside, and maybe it'll be a paperweight. I'm not really sure. That's just a function of the starter not lining up correctly. So if the starter's not lining up correctly and you hear that grinding sound, you go back and look at the first videos from this 318 when I was cranking it, you can actually hear the damage being done. Now I could probably put this back on a engine and it would be just fine, but it's just not something that I really want to do. So anyway, hopefully this is helpful. That's how you get the flywheel off. It's a pretty simple process. So there you go.